Hey y'all, my name is Yvette and welcome to my channel. This is going to be my vlog for the Latinx-a-thon. Today is day 1, September 15th, and I am just so excited to get started on all my reading. We had a couple things happen for the readathon already. This morning we had a collaboration video go live where a bunch of Latinx book reviewers recommended their favorite Latinx books. So if you haven't already seen that, go over to Bookie Charms channel and check that out. Our Instagram also kicked off a Latinx Heritage Month Instagram thing where we recommended Itza by Rios de la Luz, which is our group book for last year's readathon. As far as my reading goes, I've already started my first book a couple days ago, which was Nocturna by Maya Montaigne, but I've been very slowly going through the audiobook so I can save the bulk of it for this readathon. I'm about, I think, 40% done with the audiobook at this point, and it's really good. I think one of the things I like most about this book, and something that I haven't really seen before, is that there are themes of a post-colonialism society. Like, the country of this book, they were enslaved and they overthrew their oppressors, but there is still like little hints of the colonizers still present in their lives. And when they were colonized, they were stripped of their language, which is tied to their magic, so they were stripped of their magic. And it's a bunch of Latinx themes weaved within like the fabric of this universe, and it's making me feel a lot the same way I felt when I read We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor Kim Mejia, and I'm just really enjoying this one so far. The other book I'm hoping to start later today is Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore, and that's actually the book I have in this bag because I went to a book defacing workshop at Booknet Fest, and it was hosted by I Live For Books, and she's like the sweetest person ever, and it was a really great workshop. I really enjoyed it, and we only had time to spray the edges of our book, and I figured since I wanted to read this book for this readathon, I'd do this one, and I think it looks really good. It's gold sprayed edges, but the thing is that this paint is like chipping away slowly and there are little gold flecks everywhere, and I know some other people who use the gold paint, this happened to them as well. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's gonna be a pain to read this because I know gold paint is gonna get everywhere while I read it. So that's where I'm starting my reading, and right now I'm gonna go and film a drink inspired by books video where I make 2 drinks inspired by When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. I'm really nervous because I haven't done one of these videos in like over a year, and I'm not sure how it's gonna be handled because I'm in a new place and I have new equipment, and I'm just really hoping it turns out okay. And later I have plans to go to Galveston and the beach, and just a heads up, if I get any footage there, it's gonna be not great because the water is brown and dirty as fuck. Before I sign off for this clip, I do want to show off my t-shirt that I'm wearing. My sister over at Bookie Charm, Priscilla, gave me this t-shirt a while ago, and I'm finally getting around to wearing it. It's just a bunch of pictures of Selena, and I really like it.
Me buscas y ya no me encuentras. Te evito porque tú me afectas. Solo quiero ser como yo soy. Y yo he hecho todo por ti. Ahora solo pienso en mí. Siempre he querido ser mejor. Y cuando me besas, actúas como no te afecta. Baby, porque tú me mientas. Y yo sé muy bien lo que piensas. Si lo piensas estar conmigo, siempre estás bien defensivo. Yo solo sé estar contigo, por eso es que me despido. Ay, Dios mío.
is day 3 of the readathon, Tuesday, and I finally finished my first book of the readathon, which is Nocturna by Mayan Montaigne. I really enjoyed this book and I rated it a 4 to 5 stars, but also I knew as soon as I was done reading it that if I looked at reviews it was gonna make me mad, and of course I did, and of course I got mad. First of all, I saw a couple of reviews saying that this book didn't feel Latinx enough. I saw a review saying that this book could have taken place in a European country and not necessarily a Latinx one, and I don't understand how a white reviewer can make that kind of judgment so confidently. I can't even imagine the level of confidence someone would have to have in their non-owned voices review of a book that's written by a Latinx author about their Latinx experiences, saying that it wasn't Latinx enough. Like, the fucking audacity. The other thing that I saw, and like that was the main thing I knew was gonna pop up, was the comparisons to A Darker Shade of Magic. I've read that series, and look, V. Schwab did not invent those tropes and character types. Lila Bard is not an original character. She is not the first morally gray cutthroat female thief that's ever been written. And by all means, this was not a perfect book. There are plenty of flaws and things to complain about that aren't it not being Latinx enough, or saying that it's a knockoff of A Darker Shade of Magic. Anyways, I had a good time reading this. It's Latinx fantasy that feels Latinx to me as a Latinx person. Something that stayed with me during this book, and it's something that I also saw in some other Latinx books like We Set the Dark on Fire, was a part where the main character talks about the sacrifices that their parents or their ancestors made. Alfie is a reluctant prince. His people were once enslaved, and so many people made sacrifices to get him into the position that he's in now. It's something that he doesn't feel worthy of, and he feels that weight of the history to be very, very heavy, and I feel like that's a very Latinx thing. Like, when I think of all the sacrifices that my parents and my grandparents made to get me to where I am, I feel this pressure to make those sacrifices worth it. I did feel like the plot of this book was rather predictable, but I did enjoy the characters, and I feel like the series has the potential to grow. I also started Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. I started that on Sunday when we went to the beach, and I got 30 pages in that day, so not too far, and I have been taking it to work with me to try to read on my lunch break, but I spilled coffee all over it today, so it's gonna have to dry out before I pick that one up again. Last night I also started Dance All Night by Alexis Daria, and I'm about a third of the way through now. It's a holiday romance. It's cute, it's light, it's something that you could just like read and enjoy and not think too critically about, and I really like it for that. That is gonna be it for this update, and hopefully I'll be back soon whenever I finish a couple more books. Hey y'all, it's day 4 of the readathon, Thursday. Oh wait, is it Thursday or Wednesday? No, it's Wednesday. And I was not planning on filming another update to this vlog until I finish more books, but something really exciting happened today, and that was that the Latinxathon was featured in Oprah magazine. My co-host and I were interviewed, and we gave Latinx book recommendations, and the amount of love and support we received from the book community on Twitter today has completely just made me feel so happy. You know, me, Priscilla, Jocelyn, and Andrea created this readathon with just the intention of getting more people to read Latinx lit. It's been a real labor of love, and to be recognized by someone like Oprah, it feels really special. But anyways, while I'm here, I'll give a quick update on my reading. I forgot to mention in my last update that I did start the group book, The Grief Keeper, and it is really good so far. I'm currently at chapter 15, and there's this feeling of dread that I can't shake. I'm feeling so much for the main character, Marisol. She's not in immediate physical danger anymore like she was when she was crossing over from El Salvador to the US, but she's in a constant state of like she can't make any mistakes or else she'll get sent back. So every word she says, every action that she makes, she does it with her sister's health and safety in mind. She's trying to make herself as small and unobtrusive and helpful as possible, and all the while she's not showing how all this is affecting her because she doesn't want her little sister to know. And on top of that, she's having to take on the grief of other people when she herself has experienced so much trauma and she's not being helped for her trauma. I feel like there's a lot to say about how brown women take on the trauma of others, but I'm not sure exactly how to put it into words, so hopefully I'll be there by the time I finish this book. On a lighter note, I am 70% into Dance All Night, and I'm really enjoying it. I think the love interest, I want to say that the male love interest in this book is one of the most respectful male love interests I've ever read. He has always been upfront and honest with his intentions, and he is so respectful and thoughtful in his pursuit of a relationship. So that's how my reading's been going so far. And on a slightly different note, I have started watching Diablero, which is a recommendation from Priscilla and Andrea. It's a show about a demon hunter in Mexico, and it's like really, really good. There's this one character named Nancy who can have demons possess her and still be in complete control, and I'm about ready to die for her. And on top of that, the fact that Nathul is used as protection spells and just like casually is really amazing. That is going to be it for this update. I'm about to go get some food, and hopefully by tonight I can finish Dance All Night.
Ya no la paso pensando en ti. No quiero que me agarres en la mano, pero no estaré enojada así. Gusta caminar a mi lado, mírame ahora que yo estoy haciendo ruido. Todo lo que sé yo solo lo he aprendido. Nada más me pongo algo en la mente y lo logro como puedo, yo soy fuerte. Sabes que ya no estoy dispuesta para la respuesta incorrecta. Sabes que me pongo me molesta si no va de mi manera de protestar. Dímelo, dímelo. Sí o no, sí o no. Dímelo, dímelo. Sí o no, sí o no.
It's Thursday, the next day of the readathon, and I just got into work. It's about 10 o'clock, and apparently outside it looks like the world's gonna end and it's flooding, so my boss sent me home, and yeah, so it looks like it's gonna be a pretty big reading day if I can make it home through the flooding. Wish me luck. So I did not make it home. It is now 5:36 in the afternoon, and I'm still trying to get there. On my way home, I made some calls, and my place, my parents' place, my sister's place, everywhere that I would go, it was all too flooded to get there. Like the neighborhoods, the streets were flooded. The houses are fine because they're built really high in like anticipation of floods, but the streets are all flooded. I wasn't sure how the flooding would be at my new job because we were in a bit different building for Harvey, so I don't know how bad it floods, and I wanted to get my truck to high ground, so I went to my mom's job and I hung out with her for a good few hours. Around 4 o'clock we decided to try to make a break for it and get home, and we made it about maybe it's 15-20 minutes away from my house, and we are now stuck. The exit we have to take to get home, the feeder is completely flooded, and there are like rescue boats going back and forth and rescue trucks. I really should have stayed home today. This whole day has just been one big headache. I feel like we all knew a flood was coming soon, but because it's been raining for the past couple days, the ground hasn't had time to soak up the rain, and it rained so hard this morning it flooded a lot quicker than we were all expecting. It's not as bad as Harvey, thank God. Like it's not apocalyptic level natural disaster like it was a couple years ago, but this is just really, really annoying. But that being said, I do know that I am a lot better off than some other people, because I know some people's homes have been flooded, and I can see my mom outside my truck taking selfies. And this morning when I was driving through rain so heavy I couldn't see the car in front of me, I panicked a bit more than I thought I would, and I just had to remind myself that this isn't Harvey. Worst comes to worst, I'll probably be able to get to at least the front of my neighborhood today, and then I know Marissa has a kayak that they'll be able to take out to me so I can kayak back to my house. However, the silver lining in all this is that I've had a lot of time to read. So I finished 2 books. I finished Dance All Night, which was it's just such a refreshingly sweet, wholesome romance. Usually when I read books, I have little nitpicks. I have little things the characters say or do that go unchallenged that kind of grind on my nerves a little bit. But this book, like, there's none of that. It's a wholly flawless holiday romance novella. The other book I finished was the group book The Grief Keeper, and I liked it. I really liked it. I think I'm gonna rate it a 4 to 5 stars. I just finished it actually a couple minutes ago, so I want to let my thoughts settle a little bit more before I talk about it. One thing that I can say about it right now is that I had a hard time listening to the audiobook critically versus just listening to it for enjoyment and just taking in all the book that had what it had to offer. We do have a Q&A with the author coming up on October 3rd, and I don't know if this vlog is going to come up before or after that, but I wanted to write some questions to ask the author while I was going through the book, and now I'm probably gonna have to go back and listen to some select chapters that I bookmarked to find some questions, because I just had a good time listening to it and I forgot to think critically while I was reading. I also started another book, which is, I think, Shadow You Left by Jude Sierra and Taylor Brook. I am about 9% into that book, so not much to report on there. I don't know if I'm gonna give another update today. Hopefully I make it home. I really don't know if I'm going to, but I will try to vlog some of my journey today, so I'll put that in here and update y'all on my reading later. It is now the 7th day of the readathon, the 21st, Saturday. And before I get into the books I've been reading since my last update, I'll give a quick life update, since I think when I left off the vlog last time I was stranded on a freeway. Soon after I filmed that clip, we decided to try to find a different way home, and we tried, I think, maybe 4 ways to get into my neighborhood. Everything was flooded and everything was blocked off, so we went to one of the places where we got the closest, and we called my partner Marissa and asked them to row out to us on their kayak and pick us up. But yeah, everything turned out okay, and I ended up staying home from work yesterday on Friday because there's a bayou right outside my neighborhood, and it was really full, so if it was gonna rain anymore, then my neighborhood was gonna flood again and I'd go through this whole ordeal again. I got a few more chapters into the Shadows You Left and I'm enjoying it so far. It's a romance between a cage fighter and a tattoo artist. They fall in lust pretty quickly, but I think the love part is going to be a bit of a slow burn, which I have no problem with. Also, my audiobook loan of My Life as an Ice Cream Sandwich by Ibiza Boy came in early, so I started that and I'm about 30% into it. I went into this book pretty blind. All I knew about it was that it's a middle grade and it's written by Ibiza Boy, which is enough for me to pick it up. And I'm still not really sure what it's about. It's about a young girl. Her parents are divorced. Her mother lives in Alabama and her father lives in Harlem, and she lives full time with her mom, but she is staying with her dad for about a week. And the writing is really interesting. It's super whimsical. This girl is super nerdy. She's all into NASA and space and Star Trek, and she lives her life through the lens of an imaginary world. Like, she sees herself as a space cadet, she sees Harlem as no laugh city where she can't afford to laugh, and she sees her dad as the king of this no laugh city. And when kids pick on her, she acts like she's Wonder Woman and she flings away what they're saying. People call her weird and crazy, but I think she just has a super active imagination and is happy to live in there. At this point in the readathon, I finished 3 books, and I know that 3 books in a week is not bad at all. all, but I was hoping to read a bit more, so I'm gonna really try to carve out some space this weekend to read. That being said, I really don't know where this extra time is gonna come from because Marissa right now, they went to go pick up their nieces and their nieces are staying with us all weekend. And then later today, there's gonna be a barbecue at my parents' that we're gonna go to. So yeah, that's what the rest of my weekend looks like, but I am hoping to finish a couple more books before the readathon ends.
Esta es una historia que tengo para contarte, de todas las ganas que tengo de superarme. No deja pasar el tiempo que me queda por delante. Poquito a poquito te voy mandando mensajes. Le arranco el motor, freno el acelerador, meto marchas con control, hacia donde quiero yo. Me cansé de esa rutina, eso ya no va conmigo. Ahora vivo mi utopía, de lunes hasta domingo. Yo me disfruto mi vida, no me dan en un bingo. Yo quiero llevar mi ritmo, la gente me da lo mismo. Quédate a mi pausa, 3 minutos, solo 3 minutos más, dame 3 minutos. Quédate a mi pausa, 3 minutos, solo 3 minutos más, dame 3 minutos. 3 minutos para bailar, 3 minutos para reír, 3 minutos para luchar, 3 minutos para sentir.
Today is October 6th, which means it's been quite a while since the end of the readathon, but I never filmed an outro or wrapped up my reading, so I'm doing that now. First of all, I finished My Life as an Ice Cream Sandwich by Ibi Zoboi, and that book was just wonderful. I do get why some people wouldn't like it because the main character has a hard time separating the imaginary world she's created from herself from her actual life. But I found that I really enjoyed that aspect of the book because to me that showed how much of a hard time she was fitting in because of her wild imagination, but despite that, she refused to dull herself and dull her imagination and dull her shine in order to fit in. And in the end, she didn't have to change what was special about her to fit in. The other book I picked up and finished before the end of the readathon was Strange Birds, A Field Guide to Ruffling Feathers by Celia C. Perez. This is a new middle grade contemporary coming from the author of The First Rule of Punk, which is a book that's been on my TBR forever and I still intend to get to it, but my library just got in this audiobook and I got it and I read it and I absolutely loved it. It takes place in a small town in Florida where one girl, she's lonely, she just moved there, she doesn't have any friends, so she decides to set up bags of books in the restroom of the library with invitations to a secret club. A few other girls show up to the meeting and once this club is made, they have to figure out what they're gonna do. In a very vague and broad way to describe what happens, they end up finding something that they think is wrong in their town and they try to fix it and they become activists along the way. There are themes of racism and colorism and stolen history from people of color and the consequences of being an activist and how those consequences can be different depending on how dark your skin is. And these girls are so persistent and like hungry in their pursuit of justice, so when things don't go to plan or when their message isn't heard, they'll keep going at it again and again and again until their message gets across. It's all of that with the backdrop of this magical summer of friendship, and it's sweet and adorable and meaningful and I love it so much. Those are the 2 final books I finished during this readathon. Of course, I'm still reading Latinx books and I'm still trying to finish a couple of the books that I mentioned in this vlog, like The Shadows You Left by Jude Sierra and Taylor Brook and Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. But I had a great readathon and I hope that everyone else who participated had a great time. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close out this vlog. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.